Welcome back to Dynamics Unplugged. Today we have a follow-up to my recent blog post. We're going to be showing what's in preview for Dynamics 365 supply chain management, specifically what's new with AI. There's a great workspace available to us to show some of the use cases and early functionality of combining Copilot and AI with Microsoft Dynamics 365 finance and supply chain management. So I'm going to navigate here to my workspaces. We can see there's a new one called Confirm Purchase Orders with Changes. I'm in a 10.0.35 environment. I'm going to click that workspace and we'll walk through really how to use this and how it's intended to be leveraged and maximize the new technology that's available. So right away, we see there's a couple tiles, a few different tiles really, a section that's a summary depending on which selection you have, and then a preview of those transactions, very similar to other workspaces. The default view is this all purchase orders with changes, which correlates with this button at the top left. So we have show all purchase orders, and we see various purchase orders showing that have recent changes. For example, this first purchase order that shows purchase order 46 has a delivery date change that recently occurred, changing the purchase order to 9/29/2023. The important thing to note is that title or that description, all purchase orders with changes, is not quite correct. It more is confirmed purchase orders with changes. So since the purchase order has been confirmed, a change has occurred. That might be for various reasons. Somebody might have gone in and edited it after it was already confirmed, and now you need to analyze those changes and talk to the vendor. Or it could be you're using something like the vendor collaboration portal or EDI to make purchase order updates, and the vendor has come back and said the delivery date is not valid and it's going to be at a later date, or the quantity needs to be reduced because they can't complete that full amount in the time frame. And now you as a buyer need to look at that information and see how that's going to impact your supply chain. So this first view is all purchase orders that have had changes since the purchase order confirmation. The next one, low impact changes, is really what Microsoft is recommending we as buyers would look at first. Low impact changes are changes that have been made to these purchase orders that don't have a huge impact on the rest of our supply chain. If we were to look at connected production orders that could be delayed by a purchase order, there's not many, right? So low impact are what are the ones that are not impacting those production orders and are not adversely impacting fulfillment in our supply chain. We can see here there's 17 order changes with low downstream impact that I have the availability to review at this time, 14 of which are at the order line level. Delivery delays affect 12 of those. It's actually showing me the items. The larger this data set gets, I'm not going to get as much specific information. I'll get the summary lines, and delivery rushed affects one line with an item as well as a quantity increase on one line. So those low impact changes, I can feel comfortable when I click this show and it shows me those 17 lines or the 14 changes that have occurred. I can feel comfortable that I can go ahead and make these because it's not going to affect a directly linked production order. There's not production orders or batch orders waiting on these items, or there's not a directly linked sales order out there that's waiting on these items and would be affected by that due date. Then we get into the high impact changes. These ones, there's more risk in accepting these changes. They have an impact that could affect production or sales or even fulfillment of safety stock, as we see here in the preview of these first orders. So I see this purchase order 579 for Fabricam. That must have a current change, and it looks like it's a delivery date, so 9/10/2021. And it recently had a change to updated on 7/31, a more realistic due date, but that has an impact to the safety stock deadline that has occurred within that time frame. Then you have other examples of production and sales order and so on. Finally, you have your impacted downstream orders. So based on the high impact changes, what are the orders that are affected? If we just want to look at those, we can see here, there's the safety stock due date that we just looked at. There's a production line that's affected by requiring this wiring harness. There's a sales order for an item that's delayed because we haven't received purchase order 579 in. So there's a lot of information here. It tells us the sequence we should be reviewing it: low impact changes, high impact changes, impacted downstream orders. And what you're probably wondering now is, what does this have to do with Copilot? What does this have to do with AI? If I select, let's say, my high impact changes, and I take a look at somebody like Fabricam, I can see there's a contact ID associated with them. It's demo user. That's great. That contact is likely coming directly from the purchase order or vendor account. The other thing you'll notice is there's a couple of different buttons here available above this summary section. So there's the confirm purchase orders, which makes sense. We have to confirm any changes that we're accepting and going to move forward with. Then there's a send email and also a send Teams message. And this is where AI and Copilot and Power Platform and the Dataverse start to integrate with D365 supply chain management. As long as there is a contact ID with an email configured against that purchase order, that vendor, if I click send email or send Teams message, I'm going to get this info log that says AI generated content may be incorrect. Do I want to create the message content? I'll go ahead and click yes, and it's going to open my Outlook and auto-generate an email with content using D365 information. So here it pulled the contact ID, demo1 at arbella365 on Microsoft.com. It had a subject heading, changes for the purchase order. So it's picking up data, has that purchase order referenced again and saying, hello, demo user, I regret to inform you I cannot accept the changes on this order as it would impact my business. I'd like to request the following changes for the item. So here it's proposing automatically that we reject the changes made by the vendor, and it's relaying the items on the lines as well as the delivery dates we need them. Now I'm using demo data, so the dates are in the past and it's a little bit irrelevant, but you can see the possibilities and the intent of this information. I'm telling the vendor, your changes aren't acceptable. I need to keep the delivery dates I have, if at all possible. If I was building this and I was leveraging the functionality or configuring, whether it's in Power Platform or Dataverse, the email template, maybe I want to put in other information or make sure this picks up my signature because that vendor is likely to come back and have questions or still say no, and we want to keep this conversation going. So this is a very kind of generic template, but you see it comes up with a draft email, it comes up with the subject, it comes up with pulling the required data to initiate that conversation with the vendor. And obviously with anything AI, the intent is that you are reviewing it, you are editing it, you're not just clicking the send button. I'm sure everyone would love to automate this to every extent possible, but you do need to look at that information, make sure it's accurate, make sure that you're using it in a responsible way. But it's already showing the efficiencies we can gain by integrating this into D365 finance and supply chain management. I don't have to go out of my way looking for that vendor contact ID. I don't have to copy information out of D365, paste it into an email. I can extract that right from the system. There's a lot of other use cases that we'll probably see coming in the future and that we as partners and developers can help build, whether that's with sales order management or case management would be a great example. We want to auto send emails with case management history and information as we're passing things through workflow and approvals. Really great use case in preview right now in 10.0.35 of Copilot in D365 supply chain management. Thanks for watching.